Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Zemo the Dad in DPS, and we're back again with another episode of The Good, The Scrap, and The Scrip, a series where I review weapons I've found out in Appalachia and see if they're very good at putting holes in freaks. Today's weapon's one that, again, as with the recent theme, I've not used before, so we'll definitely get to see how funky it works. Now, if you'd like to support the channel, there is my Ko-fi link down below. You can click that join button to become a YouTube member, but don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. So, let's get on with it. I'll introduce you all to Mr. Flibbles. If you're wondering why Mr. Flibbles, well, he's very Crossbow. So, today's weapon is a Instigating, vats critical hits do 50 extra damage, and vats critical meter fills 15% faster crossbow. First on the channel, it's not a weapon that I've ever used before. I've also put the explosive frame on there because why the hell not? Yeah, crossbows are a weapon that does a lot of damage on that singular hit. However, I've never really used them, and I've never used them consistently enough to actually decide whether they're worth using on day-to-day play. I'm expecting this to do actually okay, but again, I'm really not sure, and I have tweaked a build so that it can work around the crossbow. So I'm very interested to see how well it works in things like daily ops and against the big fellas, but even then, I'm not too optimistic. Now, I will add, the explosive frame's on there just for shits and giggles. It is not that important. If I'm not doing explosive damage, I don't really care. So don't go all crazy over it. Either way, let's get on with testing. So, crossbows. Now, as a weapon, this is obviously something that is seen as relatively naff, let's be honest. Now, the advantage crossbows have is that they are a silenced weapon. And on top of that, their damage is actually not bad. I mean, the single shot hits that they do are ridiculous. The noise they make is really satisfying. And, well, as you can see, it takes out the ghouls relatively easily. Then again, what doesn't? And overall, it's not a bad weapon. It's just as with anything in this game, if it's not top tier, people have absolutely no interest in using it. And that's where a lot of kind of problems lie in this game. I mean, that was a legendary enemy, completely kneecapped. I say kneecapped, headshotted it. This variant of the weapon is really good for this kind of job. One-shotting things that are running around and basically getting big crits on them. So this is a very good weapon for going around and just killing enemies in this fashion. On top of that, as you're seeing, we've got super mutants here. It's allowing me to get some pretty hefty hits on them. Let's try and get a good headshot on there. Seeing the super mutant died. The super mutant hounds are dying. So it's not just ghouls that it's going to one-shot. This is going to effectively one-shot most of the small enemies in the game. Maybe robots might have an issue. I don't know if there's a different variationist that you could use to make it a bit more effective on robots. I don't have all the frames unlocked, I'll be honest, so I'd need to make a bit more of an investigation into that. Now, don't get me wrong, with the type that I'm using, having Instigating with explosive, yes, is counterintuitive, but it does add that extra bit of damage against the bigger enemies, which is usually the kind of proper thing I'm testing. And you can see the range on it's actually not too bad. Don't get me wrong, the accuracy on the thing at range is not great, but the range on it at a distance is not too bad. On top of that, if you manually aim it, you can see it's actually got quite a straight shot. Don't get me wrong, I whiffed the head there, but you can actually manually aim this quite effectively as well. You don't need to be... Oh, he spotted me. You don't need to be actually hitting your shots dead on with vats. You can get away with just going bloop and then popping heads with it that way. Because let's see if we can get this guy. There we go. See? Overall, I'm actually quite happy with it. I think it's quite a funky little weapon and something fun to play with. So, the build. Now, it's pretty standard. It's got all the usual suspects in most places. Instead of our commando and, gun base perks. We've got Archer, Expert Archer, Master Archer, and Bow before me, which is basically like Tank Killer for bows. So yeah, that's going to increase the armor pen and the stagger chance. I have taken off any specific rifle perks here, put in better criticals, 4-leaf clover, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's basically a commando build with some tweaks. And we'll take this opportunity to say, to support the channel, click coffee link down below. Let's get on with it. Now we're back with Jeff, and for some reason is awake. God knows why. Either way, I'm going to put some crossbow bolts into his skull and see how that affects his deposition. I'm going to guess not well. Come on, look my way, Jeff. As you're seeing, that was an instigating shot. It didn't do exactly the best amount of damage ever, but we are getting some consistent damage on him. Unfortunately, he has somehow launched a rock at me that hit me from like a mile away, but you're seeing it's killing him relatively effectively. It's taken away his ability to aim at me properly because I've damaged his head. And let's go for his leg and see what that does. Now, in terms of the explosive damage, this isn't giving a huge amount of extra damage, so I'm not too fussed about it in that sense. However, that is really annoying that he throws a rock and then like 5 minutes later it somehow hits me. It's like it's a heat-seeking rock. Hopefully it doesn't do that again. There we go. And you can see it's not as effective on the scale of hitting them out of vats. In vats, you are getting a lot more out of this weapon than when not in vats. But we're still able to kill him, is the kind of main factor I'd say here. I think this is going to struggle against the Mirelurk Queen, but I could be wrong. I definitely could be wrong. Either way, Jeff is down. So the first test is passed. Now we're back with the Mirelurk Queen, but I wanted to see how this does against her brood. They're typically known for being quite sturdy, and as you're seeing, it's dealing with them quite easily. The kings, however, I think are going to be another kind of thing to worry about. Luckily, once you're up on high, they're not exactly as deadly as they are down below. As you're seeing, this fella's going to be down in a mere couple of shots. So I don't think you need to worry too much about Mirelurks in general, but the Queen is a very big, different number. So we are going to have to wake her up and see how well it does against her. Alright, so we have the Queen awake, and the biggest problem with this big Mama Jamma is that she is a massive pain in the butt crack. She has a couple of things going for her when it comes to just general kind of bullcrap, and that is she's got heat-seeking freaking sludge. Now, the problem with that being is even if she can't see you, somehow she always seems to land stupid hits that she has no right actually hitting. Even if she doesn't know I'm there, I always tend to get bloody hunted down by her, which is incredibly annoying to say the least. But at the same time, we seem to be doing okay so far. If I'm lucky, I'll be able to get rid of those spouts before she's able to get any real damage on me. And because this is a silent weapon, I can, for the most part, hide and just sort of hope she doesn't get a lucky shot on me. And as you can see, she's getting really close, so I'm going to back up. And we are getting those hits in. We are doing decent damage. We'll keep strafing until the spouts are down. Now, she technically shouldn't be able to spit crap at me anymore. Though no doubt she will continue to do it. And then what we'll do is we'll just keep going for a leg after this. As you're seeing, as long as you strafe... I think I was doing a lot more damage at the spouts. But you're seeing she's still spitting crap at me. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Either way, this thing is actually doing quite obscene damage to her. So it is actually quite capable of taking her out. It is a bit of a faff, and you do need to make sure that you are not getting discovered. And it is using up a lot of ammo, let's be honest. But at the same time, she's dying, and she's dying consistently. Oh, did she spot me? I don't like the way she just looked at me and went, "Urgh, come on." I don't know why sometimes it's doing... I don't know why it's sometimes doing like 400, and then other times it's doing nowhere near that. Eee. Maybe it's the crit. Maybe that's what I'm not paying attention to. But as you can see, you're still able to fire at her for a distance and get some decent little hits in. Wait until your AP bar's back up, and then go back into smashing the spouts. There we go. That didn't go too bad at all. Now daily ops. Alrighty, it's time for some daily ops action. Now, the advantage I have in this situation is that I can, in fact, stealth during this daily op, so I do have a bit more of a chance. Now, it is freezing healing enemies, which again makes it a bit more awkward, because if they start healing themselves, that could be a problem. But I don't think the crossbow is going to have any real issues with that kind of scenario. I think the main problem with it is I think sneaking's the best option here, because these are armor piercing enemies and they will probably push my shit in if I let them get away with it. As you're seeing, we're killing them quite effectively. We're getting 8 back so far. Oh, that didn't quite kill him. Let's see how much... Oh, there's another one. And you're seeing, for the most part, we are one-shotting them, getting around 4 to 12. That's probably going to be up to 18 ammo that you can get from these. 16. Maybe 16 ammo. So you are getting quite a significant amount of ammo back. And as you can see, I've made back all that ammo that I used on the Queen already. So it's very effective at this kind of daily ops, where you need to sneak around and kill enemies. And it's also good for ammo because of that efficiency. It's one of the biggest things I always say about daily ops, is that if you make your ammo back, then you're not really losing anything by doing the op. So it's always a good thing in order to, maintain your ammo. I don't know how you guys are with ammo, if you ever struggle or if you have problems with making certain things, but for crossbows, definitely a good way to farm it up. And definitely a good weapon to use for daily ops for this exact reason, because it will make it, at least in the decryption days, easy to solo, because you don't need to worry about enemies seeing you, and you can just get all the ammo back from it. Overall, quite a successful weapon. Again, as I always say, it's not top tier, it's not going to kill Earl in like 30 seconds. But who wants to do that? That's a boring way to play the game, in my opinion. It's very documented how easy it is to jank the damage in this game, and quite often I think the best way to play the game is with what you find fun. So yeah, it's doing that. And with that, we have today's video now. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and if you would like to support the channel, there is the Ko-fi link down below and the YouTube member join button, so feel free to click either of those if that's something you're interested in. And on the note of our YouTube members, let's thank them right now, which are Golty, Wyatt, Blackburn, Wallers, me, Deofane Gaming, Colin G, Brian RMC, Peggy McKnight, Matazbo, Dragon God Slayer X, Devilman Games, Marcus Carrasco, Scott S and Bubba Doodle Mom. Big thanks to all of you, we really can't do this without you, and I value all your support and thank you for that. Now today's weapon, yeah, I definitely think it's not a top tier weapon, but it gets the job done. If you want to go out and kill just random enemies and you want to do it stealthily, it's a fun weapon to use. It's got a satisfying noise to it, and the explosion that comes off it is quite weighty and satisfying as well. Don't get me wrong, Instigating is maybe not the best version to use, but it's the one I had on hand and the one that worked quite well, because Instigating on this weapon definitely does work to one-shot most of the smaller enemies in the game. Either way, we'll catch you all next time in the Wasteland.